And today I want to give you my first impressions and some speculation on Samurai Jack Season 5, right now 2 episodes in. Holy crap, ladies and gentlemen, it has been over a decade and we're finally getting a conclusion to the story of Samurai Jack. A pretty rare occasion, you know, unlike many shows that have unfortunately been left in the dustbin of history, either left off on a cliffhanger or just stopped production overall. One of those shows being Symbionic Titan, another cartoon made by Mr. Tartakovsky himself that was cancelled because, of course, surprise surprise, the toys weren't selling. Another display of Cartoon Network's corporate greed in action. But anyway, at least Jack is getting the good treatment it deserves. So in this video I'll be talking about some things, you know, that I find most prevalent and most interesting, and also some speculation as to the future episodes. Secondly, this video will be full of spoilers for both the first and second episodes, so if you haven't watched any of them, be sure to catch up before you watch this video, and yeah, let's get on with it, shall we? So in the opening of the first episode, we see Jack riding into his first battle in Season 5 with a gun and a bow staff that can turn into a spear and some sort of like electrical thing, but it's pretty cool, I gotta say. He also has a pretty badass motorcycle that he unfortunately loses in the second episode, which is pretty shitty. After he finishes his very first battle with the Beetlebots, which are pretty much as useless as they always were, we cut to a temple where 7 babies are being born, and they are presented as the daughters of Aku, and of course their purpose is to kill Samurai Jack. But then later in the episode, he arrives at a village with all its residents slaughtered, and sees a robot assassin called Sacramooch, which is voiced by Tom Kenny, who is both a voice actor and a stand-up comedian, and his ability is that he can use music to control everything around him, he can draw out a magical flute which summons a huge stone golem. Jack later destroys this magical flute and he ends up controlling a sword by, of course, scat singing, which I originally thought was modeled after Scatman John, but in actuality the robot is actually styled after Sammy Davis Jr., another musical performer. Pretty cool, I gotta say. And the battle basically finishes off when Sacramooch tries to use a dagger that can shatter everything with vibrations. Jack ends up using the ability of the dagger against him and ends up taking the dagger, which I kind of find unfortunate because I really wanted to see a little bit more of him. But that's the usual in Samurai Jack, like they always have these really unusual and original looking, you know, villains, which is pretty awesome. I gotta say, definitely thumbs up for creativity. Now for the second episode. First off, I really gotta say I love how they, you know, basically kept Aku's comedy. You know, like we've always remembered him as this magical, like menacing demon and all that stuff. But he can be pretty funny when he wants to, and when we see like his morning routine, yeah, it's pretty hilarious. And also we find out that he actually keeps those flaming eyebrows of his in a drawer. And of course, one of the most important things, Aku's voice. Now, unfortunately, Aku's original voice actor Mako has died, and now he is voiced by Greg Baldwin, and I have to say, in my opinion, I really think the guy did a pretty good job, you know. Obviously, he doesn't sound entirely authentic, you know, like the original Aku voice actor, because, you know, the original voice actor was Japanese and all that stuff, but I really do think that he does a pretty good job, you know, like he's been brought in to mimic the original voice. Yeah, he's pretty good at it. A lot of people are actually saying that he sounds a little bit more Italian, which is pretty funny, and after that, Aku tries to conduct some, you know, like therapy on himself, and later we find out that Aku is actually tired of pursuing Jack because, you know, it's been 50 years and the guy doesn't age. They also make a joke on safe spaces because, you know, SGWs, fuck 'em. Later we cut to the daughters of Aku. When they reach adulthood, they later ambush Jack and manage to disarm him, and he tries to hide from them. Then we get a pretty revealing moment that Jack is actually starting to be suicidal because he is actually confronted with a vision of his former self, and he basically questions himself, you know, like whether anything is worth fighting for or not, because he genuinely is starting to believe that there's no way he can ever return to the past. And of course, the number one thing in this episode, in my opinion, the very first time that in the entire Samurai Jack series, Jack has actually had to kill a living person, yes everyone, and of course, he is very shocked at what he did, because I mean, let's face it, you know, like it's been a span of 50 years since he's been, you know, like since the start of the show and all that, since he's gone to the future and he hasn't killed a single person. The first time he does it, you know, it's very heartbreaking and all that. He That's not who he is. He's basically like all this hero type, and he tries to save people even though they're bad and all that. And at the end of the episode, we see Jack basically floating down the river in a cloud of his own blood, and that's basically where the episode ends. Now, before I give my opinion and some speculations, there is actually a preview to the third episode, and it says after the Daughters of Aku has followed Jack's trail to the river, they demand he shows himself. Jack gives one final warning before he goes all out. So it looks like in this next episode, Jack is also gonna have to face the decision of killing yet another person. This episode premieres on March 25th, which is like 5 days from now. By the way, I'm sorry if you hear like whirring noises in the background. Someone is like drilling holes into something and I don't know what the fuck's happening. So basically, my opinion is, first off, I am really happy and, you know, like very satisfied that the series is finally gonna have a finale. You know, like I honestly teared up when I saw the first episode. Another thing that I've actually forgot to mention, during both of the episodes we get premonitions of this green figure on a horse, which we still don't have any explanation on who or what that is. I cannot wait to see more explanation on that coming in the later episodes. Overall, I really love the direction that the season is going in. I really love how they introduce these villains, you know, how they hype them up, you know, the Daughters of Aku. I really don't know if they're gonna keep them around as like a long-running villain till the end of the season. Maybe they're just gonna keep around for 1 or 2 or even 3 more episodes. It wouldn't be that much of a surprise if they off them, because they have to wrap up more loose ends instead of focusing on new characters. I do gotta say, I really find it funny that Jack has somehow managed to turn white. I really don't know what happened with that. Maybe that's another side effect of the time travel. Or maybe he has spent some years living in darkness, so yeah, I don't know, his skin might have gotten more and more pale and all that stuff. I really am hyped for the return of the Scotsman, because it has been announced that the Scotsman will be returning at least for just 1 episode, and I still stand by my theory, as I made in the first Samurai Jack video, that he will be returning as like a cyborg, because let's face it, you know, 50 years have passed. Obviously he's gonna not be in tip-top shape in like a combat condition. So he's probably gonna have a few more modifications to like help him out in the battlefield and all that. Either that or he's gonna be like the leader of an army. I don't know. Now, I do gotta say, even though the season is actually pretty good, it's not without its flaws. Obviously, even though the season has its flaws, I'm prepared to accept anything as long as it's an actual conclusion to the story. But the number one flaw with the season, in my opinion, I have, at least with the episodes up to now, is that it kind of feels like the episodes are moving a bit too quickly, you know, which is to be expected because, you know, they're wrapping up the story. They only have 10 episodes to do it, and they have to, you know, like, you get what I'm saying. But it just feels that you know those scenes in like the seasons 1 through 4 of Samurai Jack where like there's gonna be a battle starting and there's like a few seconds of silence. It kind of feels like those scenes are moving a little bit faster, and they kind of fail to convey the feeling of suspense, you know, of like the calm before the storm. But it is what it is, you know, like I really don't like to repeat myself too much, but I gotta say again, it's the final season. They only have 10 episodes to wrap things up, so I'm prepared to take anything as long as it's a really good conclusion. Cannot wait to see what the future episodes have for us. I hope you'll be tuning in for the premiere on March 25th, right, 4 days from now. And yeah, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and press the little bell icon. And as always, I'm Demon Cringe, and I'll be seeing you guys and girls in the next video.